Okay, what is going on, everybody? And welcome back to the Juggernaut Show. I'm your host, Juggernaut097, and tonight I'm here to do my AEW AEW Revolution 2023 review. So, AEW Revolution was on pay-per-view this past Sunday, which was March 5th, 2023. And it was from the Chase Center in San Francisco, California. Um Overall, before we get started, with my whole entire review, overall, I thought this was a very good pay per view. Like, usually, these AEW pay per views never disappoint. And was like, this was the same thing here. This did not disappoint here. I gotta say that right now. Like, kind of going into the show, I was kind of worried. I was going like, okay, the build hasn't been really great for this show. I wonder what directions they're gonna go. And also, I did really good with my predictions on this show. I did really good. Um, and also, I feel like this was one of the best paced shows that AEW has done. Like, Tony Khan has set up, and like the structure of the card was really good. I mean, there's not really much complaints here about this pay per view. I thought it was good. They just got every match are like rolling back to back. They just kept all the momentum going, and I thought it was great. It was a great show. Um, I mean, there are some things that weren't as good, but I mean, everybody on this show did what they needed to do, and I kind of see what direction they're going with. Um, towards like Double or Nothing now in May. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started with this review because I don't want to be here for a long time. So here we go. So the first match that kicked off the show, and we're not going to talk about the pre-show. I don't really want to talk about it. I mean, Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Bros won on the pre-show. I mean, it's unfortunate that the Lucha Bros ended up being on the pre-show. Because like being a really good tag team, because it's got out of that best of 7 series. With the Elite a few months back. So I don't know why they're doing stuff on the pre-show against like the Varsity Blondes, but yeah, I just don't understand that. But let's talk about the actual show. So the actual show kicks off with we got Chris Jericho going up against Ricky Starks, and they were continuing this feud. This feud has been going on ever since the first Dynamite of the year. Back in Seattle when Ricky Starks beat Chris Jericho, and I think this match is on the level of that match that they had there. And also the JAS were banned from ringside. Um, I thought this was a really good match. I think a really big spot in the match was when Ricky Starks he was going for a spear, and Chris Jericho countered it into a code breaker. So I thought that was a really cool spot in the match. And we had Ricky Starks come out, which he was supposed to be banned from ringside, but he came out. But then we had Action Andretti. He came out of nowhere and speared Sammy Guevara. Did I say Sammy Guevara? Yeah, Sammy Guevara came out. Yeah, and then Action Andretti speared Sammy Guevara out of his boots. Like I didn't even see. I didn't even expect Action Andretti to come out. And also we had Jericho. He used the bat a few times in the match. We used the bat when Aubrey Edwards wasn't looking. I think there was really one nice spot where Jericho he was going for the juice effect, and it got countered really good. And Ricky Starks sat up for the Rochambeau really good and ended up getting the win. So Jericho dropped 2 to Ricky Starks, which was very surprising because in my predictions I was saying, oh, Jericho's going to win, because they might do some WWE logic here, might do some 50-50 booking. They might continue this feud. But no, they had Ricky Starks win 2 matches on Jericho. So I was really surprised about that, and I feel like Jericho, as of late, he's been putting over a lot of young talent. He's put over Ricky Starks here 2 matches. He's put over Action Andretti once. So I feel like is Jericho putting over too many young talent here, or like Jericho's at that age, at this point of his career where he can put over, he. It's good that he's putting over these guys. So I'm happy about it, and hopefully this feud is put to bed because I don't want to see this anymore between the JAS and Ricky Starks, and who knows where Ricky Starks goes after this, because maybe he goes maybe for like a TNT title, or maybe he becomes like a number one contender for like the AEW Championship. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Maybe like they do like on a special Dynamite where Ricky Starks gets a shot at the AEW Championship against MJF. I don't know. We'll see. But it was a definitely solid opener. And the next match we had was the final burial match, which so basically it was this match was like a cross between a casket match and a buried alive match, which they couldn't call it a casket match. They couldn't call it, like a buried alive match because that'd be copying WWE too much. People are comparing, going to compare this, a lot to WWE. It's like let AEW do their own stuff here. Like it was interesting. So they had the casket, at the top of the ramp. They did a lot of the fighting. On the stage and stuff, in the crowd, and this was a pretty intense feud here. But yeah, they did a lot of the fighting outside. Um, and I thought this was pretty good match. I mean, Christian Cage, he was kind of wearing like a turtleneck and like his sleeves cut off, so and like he's kind of looked like a prick a little bit. Christian Cage was here. And then we had Jungle Boy. He's wearing jeans and some boots. Kind of looking like Shawn Michaels esque 2002. He's kind of looking like that a little bit. They start right out the gate. They fight in the crowd. Christian Cage. Tries to run away from Jungle Boy a lot throughout the match. There's even one point where a Christian Cage takes off MJF's belt and starts whipping him with it. So I thought that was interesting. Oh yeah, and there's like another point I want to say. This doesn't have to really do a lot with the match, but they had some like dirt out there. Because I thought they had to like bury, like once they put them in the casket, they had to put the dirt over the opponent. But I think the dirt was there for like an aesthetic look. It wasn't because they didn't really use it to bury their opponent. But yeah, like I said, Christian Cage, he took off Jungle Boy's belt and started whipping him with it throughout the match. They did some nice, things like with a shovel and stuff. Like there was one point where, um, best of Chris Jericho. There's one point where Jack Perry he had in like a crossface and like had the shovel like in Christian Cage's mouth. I thought that was pretty cool. You saw a pretty good concerto that Jungle Boy did onto Christian Cage, and basically Jungle Boy threw Christian Cage into the casket, closed the lid, and then the casket, just dropped down and like kind of smoke came up, and Christian Cage was gone. He was buried. This was the final burial. So it seems like this is the final like nail in the coffin to this feud here, which I hope it is because this feud has been going on for a very long time. I mean, I think this feud would have been over, if Christian Cage would have never got injured, and they did that whole stuff with Luchasaurus, which I had a feeling that we might was going to see like Luchasaurus come back and maybe turn on Christian Cage, maybe side with Jungle Boy again, but I didn't want to see that, so I'm happy they didn't bring Luchasaurus out. I just had a feeling in my gut, like, okay, queue up, have Luchasaurus come out, but I'm happy that didn't happen. But yeah, and also it seems like a lot throughout the show. It seems like the AEW like homegrown talent was winning a lot through the show. I kind of noticed that a little bit. And there's really nothing wrong with that because they're putting over a lot more of the homegrown talent, which is nice. And then we'll move on to the next match. which we had was the AEW World Trios Championship match. We had the Elite defending the titles against the House of Black of Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews. I think, yeah, Buddy Matthews. People are saying, this is the best match tonight, which I don't think we'll say is the best match tonight, but it was really good. I mean, you had so many spots in this match. I mean, this match was really fast paced. Um, I mean, it was like on commentary where like Tony Schiavone, like, and them were saying about like Brody King, saying how it's hard for the Elite to like contain like Brody King with with his size and how big he is. So that was kind of throwing off the Elite a little bit in this match. It was nice to see, people popped hard when we had Kenny Omega and Malachi Black in the ring. People, I've been wanting to see that ever since Malachi Black came to AEW. And who knows, maybe we can get like a one-on-one feud between them. That'd be nice, between Omega and Black. The Young Bucks, they did their normal stuff, did a lot of super kicks. Omega was hitting a lot of V triggers and this normal stuff. I mean, there was one point in the match where Julia Hart was on the ring apron, and Omega hit a V trigger onto Julia Hart. And at first, he was kind of, upset. He was upset that he knocked her off the ropes, and then he was like, "Oh, whatever." He didn't care. I mean, she should have been on the ring apron. She shouldn't have been up there. So we had that. I mean, this was really good stuff here. I really enjoyed the ending. This was really good how it was set up. It looks like the Elite was about to retain, but I think it was Nick Jackson. No, Matt Jackson. He ended up taking the Danto's Inferno from Brody King. And the Elite, they were doing a lot of super kicks and stuff, throughout this match. And like I said, normal Young Bucks and Kenny Omega type of stuff here. But no, this was a really good match. And so we had new AEW World Trios champions, AEW World Trios champions in the House of Black, which was great here. I enjoyed it. Which that's who I predicted them winning. Which the build for this feud wasn't that good. Like, it's having the House of Black attack the Elite, and then kind of doing some like Undertaker type of stuff. There really wasn't much to this feud. So maybe I don't know where Kenny Omega goes after this. I want Kenny Omega maybe to start doing some like singles type of run. I wouldn't mind him doing that. Kind of getting away from the Young Bucks and having the Young Bucks go back to doing tag division stuff. I don't know. I think the Young Bucks, they're kind of getting bored with me. I mean, they're the same thing every single week. But we'll see what happens though. But yeah, I mean, it was a really good match. And then the next match we had was the AEW Women's Championship match. We had Jamie Hayter defending the title against Saraya and Ruby Soho in a triple threat match. This was a kind of just an average match. I mean, also I like the way Ruby Soho had her hair. She had like her hair differently tonight or on the show. So I really enjoyed that. I think definitely Jamie Hayter and Ruby Soho really carried this match. I mean, Saraya, she's really not that great right now, in my opinion. I'm just not a fan of really what she's doing. I mean, she's doing a lot of whining in this match, kind of complaining to the referee. Jamie Hayter did end up retaining the title. She did like a crucifix pin onto Ruby Soho, and yeah, because like they were doing some like ropes, like kind of back and forth, and then Ruby Soho ended up getting pinned. And then like after the match, we had Saraya and Tony Storm. They were pissed, because these are because like the whole feud that they're trying to tell here is like you got the AEW homegrown talent ladies, and you got the kind of like the outsiders here, like the WWE girls. So Tony Storm and Saraya, they were, upset. There was one point like where Tony Storm, pushed down a cameraman and then broke a camera. So that was interesting there. And it looks like Ruby Soho, she was going to be siding with Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. But we had Ruby Soho kicked Jamie Hayter in the head, and then uh, took out Britt Baker. So I think definitely the most interesting thing about this match was like where did like Ruby Soho stand and like which side was she's going to be on. Like going into this match, she was just going to be out for herself. She just wants to, she's just going to be in this match. She's out for herself, but she's siding with the outsiders here, um, which I heard on someone's podcast they were saying maybe we could be getting a women's blood and gut match, which I wouldn't mind that blood and guts for the women. That'd be pretty cool. See, maybe like some AEW like homegrown talent versus outsiders. I don't know. I think that'd be really interesting to see. But I mean, this was an average match. Nothing too crazy in Smash Show. Excuse me. Then the next match we had was a Texas death match between Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page. Boy, this match was brutal here. This match was crazy. And a lot of barbed wire, a lot of blood in this match here. I mean, what more can you expect? Well, every time Jon Moxley's in the ring, you know he's gonna be bleeding. I tell you that. Um, I mean, they fought in the crowd. They had some fighting in the crowd. There's one point where Moxley he brought out a cinder block, a couple cinder blocks, and like the curb stomp onto Hangman and Page. That was a crazy spot during the match. You even had Moxley. He brought out a fork and started stabbing Hangman in the head with a fork. And there is one person was saying, "Would you rather get hit with a spoon or a fork?" I'd rather get hit with a spoon, to be honest. Like the forks, with all the pointy edges on there. Yeah, I don't want to get hit with a. I mean, I don't want to get hit with either, but I'd rather get hit with a spoon than a fork, in my opinion. And then, you also have a pizza cutter and stuff, but we didn't see any pizza cutters here. That's Nick Gage's specialty. But yeah, we saw Jon Moxley brought out the infamous fork, started stabbing him, forking him in the head. That was a pretty crazy spot. You had a lot of spots like with some barbed wire. You have points where Hangman will wrap the barbed wire around himself and like he did like a moonsault off the top rope and like he had barbed wire wrapped around himself and hit Jon Moxley. There's one point where it was okay. I'm trying to figure this out. It was Moxley was on the outside of the ring and like they had like this barbed wire like kind of table kind of set up, and Hangman did like a cross body, and then Jon Moxley went into the barbed wire. That was crazy. I mean, just this was like some GCW type of stuff here. Like death match stuff. I mean, this was a death match, but this was like on a bigger level and stuff. We had more fans here witnessing this. The ending was like really creative. I really enjoyed it. Like with the when Moxley he kind of had like the this chain wrapped around his neck. Hangman had Moxley like in a sleeper, and then he threw him like over the ropes, and still had the chain around Moxley's neck, and Moxley started getting choked by the chain, and Moxley ended up having to tap out. Which a fun fact, that was the first time Moxley has ever tapped out, which was pretty interesting to see. Like I think the first time he's ever tapped out in AEW. So that, like I said, that was pretty interesting to see. He tapped out right away because like I had a feeling, okay, maybe he just might pass out to it. Maybe he might not tap out. But if he would have stayed in that, a little too long, maybe something bad could have happened. So that's good that he tapped because you just never know. Because like with a dangerous spot like that, like with all the whole Benoit stuff and like different things like that. Eddie stuff, like you just don't know, like so you don't really want to take the chance of that, with them like passing out, kind of getting choked out too much. Even though Jon Moxley would have probably rather passed out, but I'm happy he actually tapped out because, like I said, that's a really dangerous spot. You never know what you're gonna get with it. But yeah, really great match here. And it kind of seems like maybe Hangman might be going for the AEW title next, maybe at the next pay per view. I don't know. We'll see. But amazing stuff here. Great match. Really brutal, a lot of blood. And also, there was another spot in the match I enjoyed, like where they were putting nails and like putting their fingernails into the back of each other. That was pretty brutal because like you saw like the track that they were doing like on their back. Like it was crazy, but yeah, brutal match. And then the next match we had was a TNT Championship match. We had Samoa Joe defending the TNT title against Wardlow. Now, this match I think is kind of the weakest thing on the show, in my opinion. Like, I just, after seeing the death match, people were just like the fans in the crowd. They were kind of pooped out a little bit. They were kind of dead. Um, I mean, this was your typical big beefy men match here. A lot throughout the match, Samoa Joe, he was kind of taunting Wardlow and trying to do power, mocking with the Powerbomb Symphony and all that. Like I said, this typical beefy men match. Wardlow ended up winning. Like he put in the sleeper hold onto. Yeah, he put in a sleeper hold or Coquille clutch onto Joe, and Joe ended up like the referee did the arm thing, and then he didn't bring his arm back up a third time, so Wardlow won. And also they have Powerhouse Hobbs, up in like the skybox, up in like the press box area, kind of watching. It seems like Powerhouse Hobbs wanted Joe to win because like he was like getting excited every time Samoa Joe was doing some big moves. Because we were going to be having tonight, because tonight's Wednesday, we're going to be having Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs for the TNT title. And also, we still have Samoa Joe as the Ring of Honor television champion, which I have a feeling that Samoa Joe is going to be kind of like more exclusive to ROH now. And there's kind of a theory what I have is going to be like happening on Dynamite time, which I'm not watching Dynamite right now. But I have a feeling that not Wardlow. I have a feeling that Samoa Joe's going to come out and cost Wardlow the title, and Powerhouse Hobbs is going to win, and maybe Wardlow and Samoa Joe they do a match at Supercard of Honor for the ROH Television Championship. That's what I kind of have a feeling, but I don't know. We'll see what direction they go with here. But like I said, this was kind of the weakest match on there. I mean, it wasn't bad by any means, but people didn't, after the big match that we saw, people didn't really have a care for this match. And then the next match we had was the AEW Tag Team Championships on the line. We had the Guns defending titles against Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, the TNA guys. The team of the Acclaimed, and we had Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. This match was more of like your typical like sports entertainment type of match. What you see like in WWE. Yeah, it's a lot of crazy shenanigans. I'll tell you, Danhausen. He really showed that he can wrestle pretty good in this match. He was doing some pretty good stuff. The Guns, they were kind of there, kind of being, opportunistic, at the right time. So, they were this here in this match. It was like seeing, with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, what they were doing, with Orange Cassidy and like Danhausen. That was pretty nice stuff in the match. They Acclaimed, they were kind of here too, like I like the rap battle that they did. Like that was pretty cool. I always like the raps. There was one point where Jeff Jarrett tried to bring in his guitar, but Aubrey Edwards, ended up taking it away. So people kind of really booed that. People weren't a big fan of that there. We had Senga. Is Senga's name? Or Satnam Singh, sorry. Senga's in WWE. Satnam Singh, he got involved in the match. We had Billy Gunn, he came out. He got involved. The Guns, they low blowed their father, Billy Gunn. Like I said, the Guns, they were this here, being their, the sneaky heels that they are. They ended up hitting hitting like a modified version like of a big rig a little bit onto I think it was Danhausen, I'm pretty sure. I think Danhausen took the pin. But yeah, they did like a modified version of that. So the Guns retained the titles. But after the match, it gets really exciting because like they start to get interviewed and saying that there's no other great tag teams here. Like nobody could beat them. And then cue up FTR's music. They come out. So we had the return of FTR. They brawl with the Guns, and the FTR ends up on top. So looks like we're gonna be getting FTR and the Guns probably maybe at the next pay per view. I don't know. But yeah, we have the return of the Guns, so I mean, not the return of the Guns. Sorry, we have the return of FTR. So looks like they're still staying in AEW, which I want them to stay in AEW, but because there was rumors about them, possibly returning to WWE, which could still happen. I don't know, but as of right now, they came back. They came back to work with AEW. So yeah, I mean, this was this was a fun match to watch. Though, like you had a lot of crazy spots. Your typical multi-man tag team match. That's really all I gotta say. And then the next match we had was the main event for the AEW World Championship. We had MJF defending the title against Bryan Danielson in a 60-minute Iron Man match. Boy, I gotta say, this was one of the best Iron Man matches I have ever seen. And I'm not gonna go through like every spot by spot in this match. Because if I do that, it's gonna be a 60-minute video. So I don't want to do that. It's gonna be an hour-long video. But no, this was some good stuff. Really good drama in this match. Bryan Danielson, he really helped carry MJF. Like it was really good stuff, and both guys, were in some great shape. I mean, it was really good, fun here, and also MJF being the heel that he is, starting off the match, throwing the water on this little boy. I thought that was pretty cool. The prick that MJF is was amazing. Um, so the first fall, Bryan Danielson, he got the first fall. I don't remember the exact times in the match. Let's see if I hold on. So the first fall, okay. So the first fall was at 25-25, and Danielson hit the running knee, his Busaiku knee. So he hit that 25-25 in the match. And then the next fall came when MJF, he was kind of frustrated, and he ended up. So I think some people might be a little bit confused or might didn't know the rules exactly, but so in a typical Iron Man match is there's a rest period, like a 30-second rest period, but in AEW, if you're looking at the rules, there's no rest periods here, which I kind of was a fan of that, but like people were like confused like with what was happening, like Justin Roberts wasn't getting on the microphone saying, "Okay, this happened. The fall goes to Bryan Danielson, yada yada." Which I wish that kind of was happening in this match, but that really wasn't happening here. But yeah, MJF, he ends up low blowing Bryan Danielson, and that ends up giving Danielson 2 win. He ended up getting 2 wins, and then right away MJF, he goes into a pin and pins Bryan Danielson. So then became 2-1. So MJF had 1 and Bryan Danielson had 2. And then we had MJF pin Bryan Danielson again. Then it became 2-2 apiece. So that's what happened there. And then it was about probably 40 minutes into the match. We had MJF. He hit a nice heat seeker. He had the power jobber heat seeker onto Danielson, then became 3-2. Also, the selling that both these guys were doing this match was crazy. Even like this one spot where MJF he hit this pretty nice elbow off a table. That was pretty cool in the match. MJF throughout the match, he had a bummed up knee. And Bryan Danielson, he had his injured neck and injured kind of shoulder in this match. MJF was targeting that quite a bit. Yeah, MJF was really targeting that. What else did we have? There was this really nice pile driver spot where MJF like this kind of like the table was like kind of broken a little bit, and then MJF pile drived Brian Danielson onto the table, which that was a nasty spot in the match. And then we had Danielson. He ended up tying the match up, 3-3 apiece when he had in the Regal stretch onto MJF. And there was one point, I don't remember exactly what point it was in the match, where Danielson he did like a flying headbutt off the top rope, and like MJF after the like after that flying headbutt, he was just like gushing down blood, and he was just a crimson mask. He was all bloody everywhere. It was a pretty crazy spot. So that was a crazy spot in the match, how bloody he was. And then kind of like towards the end, like when the clock was running down, you had Danielson have MJF like in a half crab, and like you saw the countdown, counting down, as time was expiring. MJF tapped out, so he tapped out when the time expired. So they ended up going into sudden death because they were at 3-3 apiece, MJF and Brian Danielson. And then we had Tony Schiavone come down to the ring and said that this match needs to be restarted. They're going to be going into sudden death. So Tony Schiavone came down, and also they brought out like some ventilators or like some oxygen masks for both guys because both guys are so worn out. And who knows if MJF actually needed some oxygen because like it looks like he was losing quite a bit of blood in that situation. But both guys were losing a lot of blood. But yeah, we had oxygen masks or like kind of like ventilator type of things, put them on oxygen and stuff. So the restart of the match, Brian Danielson hits, his big running knee. The crowd pops and like, "Hey, Kobe be getting a new world champion here." But then MJF he kicks out of it. That was one of the best kick out spots I ever seen in AEW. That was really good. So we had that, and then later on in the match, we had MJF. He was going right back to Danielson's arm. He had Danielson's finisher on the label lock. Yeah, Danielson's finisher the label lock on, and Danielson ended up his arm going down, and kind of like ended up kind of like tapping to the his own submission hold. So MJF, so Brian Danielson put over MJF here. So still the AEW World Champion was MJF, which was a great match. This is probably some of the best work that Danielson has ever done. That Danielson has been doing. A great Iron Man match. Probably it's up there. Probably this is in my top 5 Iron Man matches. Like there's been a lot of great Iron Man matches in the past, but like it's both. The drama that they were doing in this match. The character work was great. The way that both guys are selling this match was great. So I really enjoyed this a lot. But yeah, that was my AEW Revolution 2023 review. Give me 1 second here, guys. But yeah, that was my AEW Revolution 2023 review, guys. Hopefully, you guys all enjoyed it. Hopefully, you guys enjoy my review. Definitely a really enjoyable show. Definitely a really enjoyable show here. Some great stuff, great matches here. I'm all flustered now. Now I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, it is just a great show. The pacing of the show was great. This is some of the best work that Tony Khan has ever put on for a show. So I really enjoyed it. And also, if this is the first time I ever checked out my channel, hit that subscribe button. That really helped me out a lot. Also, Hit the notification bell to be notified every time I make a new video. Also, hit the like button if if you enjoyed the video, because the more likes I have on the video, the more it helps out on the algorithm. And also, go follow me on my social media platforms. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the True JSB. And I got a lot more wrestling videos to come out in the future for you guys here. But yeah, this is your boy Juggernaut saying peace out, and I will catch you guys in my next video whenever that may be. So I hope you guys enjoyed.